What's up, guys? It's Jamie, aka the Fun Economist, and today we're going to be talking about the new patch that just came out on PC. It will be going live on consoles shortly, and it looks to be a whopper of a patch. So to give you guys sort of an early preview of that patch, I reached out to a top 100, very, very competitive player on PC who's played a number of games on the patch already, and he said he can help us give some insights on how this patch is going to affect some things like our beloved finesse shot or maybe hated finesse shot, as well as how that might shift around the meta. So I'll introduce him. His name is Glenn. He streams on Twitch. There'll be a link to that down in the description. Glenn, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. So I think the plan will be we're going to start just with EA Corey's tweet right here. Basically, he summarized the changes made in this pitch note, in the pitch notes, or the patch rather. He said that the timeless power shot we're going to be get some tuning. The adjustments were going to be made to the time finesse shot from outside the box. There's going to be 1v1 improvements, so I'm assuming that, without even having to look at it, that it's going to change the accuracy of the 1v1 shots. People were complaining about how difficult it was to make those. Goalkeeper movement was going to be tuned, and then those are the changes that were made to FUT. Those are the ones that we really care about, but they've also changed a -1 overall career mode fix. Not super sure what that is. A career mode scheduling fix, and then a pro club fixes. So hopping into the pitch notes, I think it'll be best if we sort of just kind of move through these and the different changes, and I'll ask you some questions along the way, Glenn. But first, before we even dive into this, I did want to ask you just generally, could you sort of describe your level of competitiveness so that people can understand, that you're actually pretty good, sort of worth your salt in terms of being able to play the game?
Well, for people that knew me from last year, I basically didn't lose a game for like 12 weeks in a row in FUT Champs, and
Wow.
this year I'm kind of I'm averaging between 0 and 2 losses a week. So
Wow. So he's pretty good. Very, very competitive player in PC.
Yeah.
Cool. So and then what was sort of your playstyle pre-patch version of this FIFA? Was it heavy finesse shots? I mean, how did you kind of score your goals?
very aggressive style, and obviously finesse shots, just because everybody does it. Path of least resistance.
Right. And defensively, did you find, you said you were very aggressive, so you sort of played like a very high pressure kind of thing, not allowing anyone to get any space at the top of the box for a finesse shot, or did you kind of find that you sat back after, sort of like a press after possession loss, or were you pressing the entire time?
I'm mainly pressing almost the entire time, but mostly manually, so not
Right, okay.
constant pressure.
Okay, cool. All right, and do you think, just sort of as a side note real quick, do you think that constant pressure is an overpowered mechanic?
Yeah, I think it also affects the opponent's team. That's the weird part. Like every time somebody switches to constant pressure tactics, you can instantly feel your team just being a lot slower, making weird touches, just doing everything.
Yeah, no, I agree actually. I wonder if that has anything to do with the composure stat. And how basically now that there's like more people sort of like running around you at high speed, I wonder if that affects the composure stat.
I also have a feeling that the tactic is applying stuff to the offensive AI. So
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely possible. Anyway, we're not necessarily here to discuss that. I think we're more interested in the changes that you've already played on the time finesse shot. So the first thing that we can see here, and this is something that I want to address before, and this is sort of a wording issue. They said that for shooting, they have it under sort of this category, and then they say time finesse shots, and they said an issue where a time finesse shot would always have less error than a non-time finesse shot, even in situations where the time finesse shot was red or yellow. To me, that was really surprising, because I think, unless I'm interpreting that incorrectly, I think that's basically saying that the red time finesse shots were going to be more accurate than the regular non-time finesse shots. Am I reading that incorrectly, or is that like...
I think that's how it actually went. Like sometimes reds would just fly in from anywhere.
So that,
I think it's an accurate statement.
Yeah. So to me, that's like really surprising. Like, you wouldn't have thought that would be like, in terms of like rewarding a player for basically just pressing another button. Is all you would have to do is mash B as quickly as you possibly could after you've taken the shot or whatever it is on PC, and you would be rewarded with a more accurate shot. Now, anecdotally, I feel like, you said that you thought that was kind of true. I thought that in some circumstances, if you took a red time finesse shot, that would just fly off, like sometimes after a throw, like literally like completely off mark. But I do agree that I've scored a fair number of red time finesse shots. So that's just kind of an interesting sort of wording, way that they worded that, sort of leads you to believe that it actually was more accurate just to smash speed as fast as you possibly could. Anyway, sort of getting into this, I'm comparing the green time finesse shot to the sort of post green time finesse shot. Did you notice just generally a change in the level of accuracy for the just regular time finesse shots outside the box? Not necessarily, and we'll get into this later, not like a super high powered time finesse shot, but just like a regular one that you took with no pressure that was green, yellow, and then red, maybe if you want to break them down by the different tiers.
Basically, red is basically you don't score any of those anymore. Yellow, it's like if you hit a yellow, most of the time it looks like you're doing a chip ball instead of a finesse shot.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of them had a really high arc.
And green finesse shots, they are just as accurate, but the power has been majorly reduced. So this is the first patch actually where the finesse shot nerf is not a placebo. So it's actually
wow, that's actually really interesting. So you're saying, so that one thing that we also can't sort of glean from this as well is that you're saying that the power on the finesse shots has been reduced as well.
Yeah, it's heavily reduced. Like they go a lot slower now. Like it's more, okay. It's a lot better now to shoot yellow normal shots instead of green timed finesse shots most of the time.
Really? Wow. That's a huge change because I actually felt, and I don't know, this is something that we're going to get to in a second, but how did you feel that the relative balancing of a powered shot was? Did you think that it was, like if you're just taking like a powered shot from outside the box, did you feel like that was sort of balanced properly, or do you think it needed a buff or maybe a nerf?
I think it could do with, no, I actually think it's fine currently.
Okay.
It's just a bit hard to score them most of the time.
Yeah, and sort of interestingly, we'll skip over the part about the timing or the bracket for the timing now, but they actually said that they nerfed the accuracy of regular yellow timed power shots. So it's interesting that you say that it's still easier to score those than it is to score just a regular timed green time finesse shots. That's actually, I mean, if that sort of plays out, it's going to be a really big deal, obviously, for the way that people play.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Another thing too, and I this is something that's going to be a little bit tougher for you to give feedback on, but they also said that they changed the size of the window for the green time finesse, right? So, and they basically said that they scaled it so that the if a ball was coming to you from far away, or if it was coming at you quickly, that the way that they said the distance or the time between your first press of B and the second press of B, the longer that time was, the smaller the window was for you to hit a green time finesse. Did you notice a difference or did you notice that it was a little bit more difficult to hit that green time when you were doing like something that was like over the top of a long ball, or maybe like a first time pass from like a bit of distance away? Did you notice that? And also, did you even try those? Because they basically nerfed the finesse shots in the first place.
Yeah, it's a bit more difficult to time greens, I would say now. But it's mostly due to you have to relearn your muscle memory to do it. Like once you get used to it, you can just hit greens all over again. Right. So if you have been hitting greens all along, it's not that difficult to get adjusted.
So if you'd sort of, that makes sense. So if you had sort of, your muscle memory had been so that you were basically at like the corner of that green, sort of like right here, and I'm showing, you can't see it, but it's sort of at the corner of this green timing here. If that was your muscle memory, then you just sort of have to readjust so that you can figure out, because it doesn't look like that big of a difference, honestly. It's maybe 1/8, maybe 1/5, 1/8 of the green has been taken out, so it doesn't look like it'd be that much more of a difference. And frankly, for the guys at the highest level like yourself, probably wouldn't make a huge difference, but maybe for some of the more casual players, it would affect some of those guys. So now I think this is a really big one. Moving on to they made adjustments to the powered finesse shots as well. It looks like they've nerfed these into the ground. I mean, you can see a visual right now is the difference between just a regular green time finesse shot versus a green time finesse shot that was post patch. It looks like it's a huge difference with some of these flying way off target. Did you notice it? Did you have a chance to take any like super long range time finesse shots? Is it basically the same thing as what it was for the regular time finesse shots?
Well, they basically did to green finesse shots what they did to driven shots in this year's installment, just like nerf them too much.
Really? You think that it's like completely useless now to use like long range time finesse shots?
Well, I still had a couple fly in, obviously, but like a lot less than normally. but that was expected.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just looking at the difference for the node timing as well, it goes way off the mark for the node timing. So it's definitely, I think, going to be something that's going to change the meta. We'll talk about in a second after we talk about the in the box shots, how you think that's going to change the meta and how it has changed the meta. But it looks like they've also increased the accuracy of the near post shooting when you're inside the box. Do you think, just based on this, I mean, to me, it looks like they've tightened it up a little bit, like the spread. But interestingly, even though they tighten up the spread, it looks like really marginal, the amount more, the percentage more that is actually going on target. Do you think that, based on this change, maybe based on some of your impressions, that this is enough to encourage people to get inside the box and try and take shots inside the box, or you still think they're going to try and find other ways to score?
I think it's inside the box is fine now to score. It also applies a bit to outside of box shots for normal shots. Just when you get pressured, the shot is a lot more accurate now, at least.
Okay.
Because normally it will just go sideways, and then when you watch the replay, the arrow is in goal, but it goes somewhere else anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's always frustrating. I actually find that I try not to watch the replays because I would get frustrated whenever I watch them and I realize, like, hey, that's not where I was aiming. Okay, so the next one is goalkeeper movement. I think this could be so it's hard for me. This is where we're really going to need your feedback here, because as I'm looking at these videos and I'm playing both of them sort of simultaneously right now, I have a tough time visually seeing a difference in the speed of the goalkeeper movement. And maybe that's just because, and it's kind of, it's sort of tough, but I mean, guys, if from EA, if you're watching this sort of video right now, if you could make it so that next time you have it so that these guys run the same exact route, so it's a consistent route, so that we could compare them, that would be helpful, because if you look at it, they don't run the same route. It's not like a consistent route, so it's very difficult to compare the speed of these two. But did you notice a difference? I guess I should first ask, did you find yourself using goalkeeper movement a lot when you were playing?
I used it a lot, but the patch... Honestly, the goalkeeper movement is the change that doesn't really feel like a change. Just that the animation is different. Like, it's like the keeper standing now with the arms out instead of like just running.
Okay.
So for me, it's just the animation has changed.
Look at that. That's a great point, because you can see as he's sort of running around here in the post patch thing, it looks like he's sort of got his arms up at his side. So you think it's just a matter of the animation being a little bit different rather than too much of a change to the speed, if I'm sort of reading correctly. Got it.
So just the animation instead of the speed, indeed.
Okay, so I think we've mainly covered everything that's been changed for Ultimate Team that we kind of care about in terms of the people that are watching this video. So on aggregate, all these changes taken together, how has these things sort of changed the way that you play?
I still try to play the same way. Just try to keep my mind on breaking the opponent a lot more and just getting into the area. But go ahead.
And have you heard there's been sort of like rumors going around or speculation that it's going to change to more popular meta is going to be to like use crosses to like find another way of breaking down an opponent. Do you think that's going to come into play? Like, do you think people are going to start buying like tall guys like Mandzukic and whatnot, or maybe even like Cavani and stuff like that, to try and take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. That the meta will change to a more cross type of meta, because what people hopefully will not do, but people obviously do, is use drop back, and basically because 1v1s and normal shots are buffed, but when you have 10 defenders to shoot a ball through, it's like, just doesn't work. So I'm actually seeing the patch as a more negative thing than a positive thing.
Really? So you think... Go ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
Yeah. Because what I expected, like, this is the patch that would be perfect if they also nerfed AI defending. But of course they didn't. So I think when the patch hit console, it will be the most like complained patch ever, basically.
Really? Wow. Okay. Yeah. So kind of what I'm reading, and this is also gleaned from a couple of reactions on Reddit as well, is that people are were able to, in like previous iterations of the game, they were able to take shots from outside. It was a reliable way of scoring if you were outside the 18 to take long shots, right? And that was how you could beat a player who was sort of like packed in and didn't really go out and pressure you. That was like sort of what you did. And if someone came out and started to pressure you and tried to cut off the finesse shot lane, you could actually sort of fake it, go inside, and then you could get inside the box that way. Now it sounds like maybe there's not as much incentive to come out and press you, so they can just sit back. And because, as you said, they didn't make any adjustments to the AI, which I would imagine would be really difficult for EA to do, even if they got feedback to do it, which makes me a little bit nervous. That it's difficult to get inside the box now because there's no incentive for them to come rushing out to come get you. Right? Does that kind of ring true?
Yeah, that's true. So it's a lot more park the bus friendly this patch than it should be.
Yeah, that's not great. I hate getting countered.
I was actually this is the patch that I was fearing for, because I feel like the more it benefits the less skilled players more than the people that just like to attack, try to break opponents down. It's basically like just put drop back, wait until somebody loses the ball, counter, and then because the opponent also has drop back, you can't do. I think it actually also has a negative impact on the less skilled players, because it's now even more difficult for them to score as well.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the game will go to a very stalemate type of meta, where it's like maybe a 1-0 win.
Right. Which is even more frustrating because when you have low score margins, RNG and things that just sort of like randomly happen, where like corner kicks or crosses and stuff like that don't take a tremendous amount of skill or have a very low sort of barrier to entry to create a trance like that. But obviously it's difficult, or like the RNG, you have to be lucky to score them. If the games start happening like that, I think it's going to get even more frustrating especially as an esport, when you're trying to create like a skill gap between two players. Well, so that's kind of concerning. Any final thoughts on that?
Well, it won't happen, but I hope that they at least tune it back a little bit, like soon. Because I feel like this could be a riot when it comes out on console.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing your thoughts, Glenn. This has been really helpful, and I'm sure all of the Xbox and PS4 players will appreciate getting a little bit of knowledge ahead of time about what this new patch is going to bring. If you guys do want to go show Glenn some love, his link to his Twitch will be down in the description. I know I'll be tuning in to watch some of the new meta when he's streaming in the next couple of days. But other than that, it's been Jamie, aka the FUD Economist, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye.
Bye.